Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Stories from the Edge. Soo Hoo, you never surprise me. I mean, you never cease to stop surprising me, I should say, because it was like every time it's just mind blown. It's a great story. There's always a Johnny learned a lesson, and but it's something that I can take with me. So regardless of the fact that I've been doing this for as long as I have been doing this, I always learn something from you. So really do appreciate it. But you've had a lot of lives. You've worn a lot of hats throughout your life. You know, uh, Talk to me about, transitions and how you shifted from one to the other, because you have great stories and they start from great places, but you're just, I mean, I was doing this or I was doing this and I was doing this. Tell me about that.
Well, it's interesting. There's no plan in the way I looked at my career, right? The trajectories were all, sort of surprises.
Right.
And in many ways, it gave me the opportunity to be more agile in many ways, to learn from surprises. And
Yeah.
today, in the theme of blue collar to no collar, what was that trajectory like? And this title is called Going Legit.
Going legit.
Yeah. So what the heck does that mean,
Yeah,
right?
I was gonna say, were you
Well,
not legit?
it kind of infers that I wasn't legit in the first place,
Exactly. You got to
right?
be careful with that inference.
So what I mean by that is, before this change, this tipping point, I mentioned in one of my stories, right? I spent 3 years traveling all over the world, playing three cushion billiards, living a great life as the sheriff. That was my call sign or my nickname, right? And living a fun and many ways colorful life filled with different experiences, going from place to place, person to person, no responsibilities, none. And what that really means is I didn't work for a living,
I
right?
mean, you did.
Yeah,
You
sort
not
of,
in the yeah.
not in a legitimate way, right? So one day I'm hanging out at the bowling alley, billiard club. A good friend of mine, who I went to high school with, I actually took her to the senior ball because her husband was on deployment with the Air Force during the Vietnam era. And she just walked up to me and she goes, Ed, you need to consider a new way of living your life. I'm really concerned about you. You're living your life day to day in pool halls. Is this how you want to see the rest and live and work and see yourself for the rest of your life? I'm going, huh, kind of caught me off guard. I'm not sure why she brought it up to me. I mean, granted, it took a lot of moxie for her to do that. And and I really thought about it later. Anyone to take that time and risk to say something that tough,
That's tough
right?
love, yeah.
And really, no one really wants to hear tough love, especially me, right? So she made me really think long and hard about the path, my path, right? I dropped out of college after a year. I played billiards, a hodgepodge of different blue collar jobs, from working for the Southern Pacific Railway as a brakeman switchman, a machinist at the Caterpillar tractor, and more, right? So billiards was an escape, a fantasy life for me,
Mhm.
which likely had an end and a short horizon. So what's next? So she goes, look, you need to go legit. Get a temp job, do anything, just find yourself, she said. My uncle, Al, works for a distribution company in Oakland, and he can get you a temp job for the summer. I go, oh, okay. I
That
go,
sounds like work. It
yeah,
sounds like labor.
I don't know, Mildred. And she goes, at least take a look at it. I said, all right, all right. You really need to think beyond the life you have now. Hard words for me to hear at that time.
Yeah.
And at the same time, she was right. Little did I realize or even imagine that this was the tipping point and trajectory that would change my life. So the next week, I meet with Al. We meet, during one of his lunch breaks near the warehouse. Al's an older man. He's kind of tall, thin, and a friendly way about him. He had a cigarette that seemed just to hang on his lips whenever he spoke. He just kind of shook around when he talked, right? And he said, hey, my niece said you're a nice guy. So I'll be happy to introduce you to the general manager. The job is not much. It's a temporary warehouseman for the summer. It's a gopher job. And you'll be stacking and loading magazines into carts that go into delivery trucks and the other gopher jobs. You okay with manual labor and hard work? I say, yeah, sure. How hard can that be, right? So I got an interview with the general manager from Uncle Al. And the general manager's guy's name is George. He was the son-in-law of the owner, and he was just getting his career started in the business. He had a lot to prove to his father-in-law, to his staff, Teamsters, because he got the job because he was the son-in-law of the owner.
Yeah.
So he had things to prove. So I dressed up, white shirt. My friend had to tie my tie for me because I didn't know how to tie a knot. And my knots were total disaster. So I put on my best slacks and a
Right.
pair of dress shoes, and I'm ready to go.
There
So
you go.
I'm nervous, and I, to say the least, and I walk into George's office, and he's a cordial guy, nice man. And I saw that he had a picture of him in the back of his desk behind him, and he was in uniform, standing next to an F-86 fighter jet.
Ooh.
He was an U.S. Air Force fighter pilot. This guy's pretty tough, pretty accomplished, right? So as it turned out, it was a very short meeting. George says, "Hey, Al said you're a good guy. This is a temporary job. It's going to be hard work. You ready for this?" That was the interview. I said, "Yes, sir. I'm ready to go."
All right. Yeah.
I said, "All right." I go, "When do you want me to start?" He goes, "Now."
Oh.
He goes, "No formalities, really. You can get going on the line right now." So George reached over to his intercom device, press a little button. It's like, from the TV series Bewitched, right?
Right. Yeah.
And he pressed the button. He goes, "Doc, I have your temp guy in my office now. Come over and take him to the line." Huh? What? Now? What? Right? So Doc is the warehouse foreman. He's the nephew of the owner.
Oh my gosh.
So a lot of family there, right?
I was like, nepotism. Is that what that's? This
Yeah.
is yeah.
So he comes into the office and
Right.
he has his sleeves rolled up, right? He's the foreman. He had forearms like Popeye the Sailor, right? A cigar chomping, teeth gritting sort of guy, like that, right? You're gonna follow me, right? I wouldn't be surprised if he had a tattoo of his mother and a battleship on him somewhere, right? He just said, "Curtly, follow me." So off we went, right? He was fast, and I had a double time to stay up with him,
Right.
and Doc said, "All right, you seem like a nice guy, so listen up. This is not an easy job. You'll be taking on a end of the line position where all the magazines and paperback books are packaged, tied up, and put on carts. When you're done filling the metal carts, they all had large caster wheels, 6 feet long, 5 feet high, 4 feet wide.
Oh wow.
Big carts. You
Yeah.
push them over to the loading area, which is about 100 feet away. So these carts, when filled, each cart weighed about a half a ton.
Oh.
The carts would later be loaded into trucks to deliver the goods to merchants, retailers, and bookstores.
Right.
Each truck had 3 carts,
Okay.
but 20 trucks,
Oh.
60 carts at 1 ton each.
Hmm.
And there was only one person at the end of the line that had to load them. That was the temporary warehouseman.
Big beefy Ed Soo Hoo.
Yeah, skinny as a rail, right? So, and then the deliveries were twice a week, Tuesday
Oh.
and Thursday.
Right.
So do the math, 120 carts a week.
Right.
The end of the line for me was responsible for keeping up with all the bundles that they came off the line and tied up in the strapping machine. It was the old strapping machine that would kind of
Yeah.
hold all the magazines and paperbacks together before you would stack them on the cart. So Doc showed me and directed me on how to pack and load the first cart. When if he finished showing me, he goes, "All right, it's all yours." And he's just chomping his cigar. And he just walks away. He's just laughing. He goes, he ain't gonna make it.
In your tie
So
dress shoes.
yeah, so I started stacking and packing, and it was really hard work. The line never seemed to stop, and it was a relentless, fast, and maniacal pace. Right, it just go, go, go. The line was filled with Teamster warehouse uh, employees,
Huh?
raucous, loud, a few curse words would ring out, actually more than a few, right? And Al came over later. He goes, after a few hours, I'm sweating bullets, and I'm looking, I had a look in my face like, it pretty much summed it up. What the hell am I doing here? This is hard work.
Right.
And all I could think of was going legit is for the birds. And, and Al recognized this and look, he goes, hey man, come on, just hang in there. My niece said you need this job, so don't quit. I'll look bad. And at the same time, this is not going to last forever. It's just the summer, right? I felt like it was going to last forever. So for the next couple of weeks, it was a really hard experience, right? Just stack, stack, stack. And I was not prepared for the physical and even the mental side of it. I was chided by the Teamsters as a rookie, a gopher, and just being, a temp.
Yeah.
So the funny thing is, once in a while, the strapping machine would break or jam. And when it did, I had a chance to take a break. I could actually relax, right? When the machine jammed, though, no one on the line or even Doc could unjam it because it is a non-union role. So a Teamster couldn't touch it.
And
Doc
you're a non-union guy.
I'm a non-union guy. So Doc, I watched the process. When it jammed, Doc would walk over to the phone, call the GM to come out and unjam it. The GM had to stop whatever he's doing. Line stoppages cost money. So he's got to come right away quick and walk over to quickly unjam the strapping machine. As it turned out, it usually took him about 5 minutes to come out from whatever he's doing. I was timing him. And about 2 minutes to unjam. So I would watch him intently as he would unjam the machine. I looked at his procedure, what he was doing, how he was doing it. And, while he was doing this, the line's laughing and cavorting around, right? You could hear the GM muttering under his breath, son of a bitch, right? So once fixed, the GM would take off. So I realized this was an opportunity. So the next time the machine jammed, I waited till Doc called the GM. As soon as he hung up, I knew I had 5 minutes. I jumped onto the machine, I unjammed it, and got the line going. Just as the GM approached, he stopped in his tracks. He goes, "Why'd you call me? The machine's working fine." Doc and the Teamsters all turned their head to me and said, "He fixed it." I was taken aback by that. And the GM walked over to me and said, "You fixed it? How did you know how to do that?" I said, "Well, George, I've been watching you. I figured it out. And if I didn't fix it, we would fall behind and the carts would not be ready for the trucks for delivery." The GM looked at me and says, "That's great initiative. Hey, if you want, you're full time now. And next week, you will not be at the end of the line. You'll be on the strapping machine and work closely with Doc." My work life got a heck of a lot easier after that. I had the attention of the GM and the Teamsters, and the Teamsters gave me begrudgingly respect, right? This was the trajectory for me to take on more responsibility, to get visibility, and gain more roles in the warehouse. This eventually got me the primo plum job of being a truck driver. But that is another story.
Ah. Awesome story. Initiative, smarts, learning from others. Love it, man.
And go legit.
And go legit. Let's not forget, let's go legit. And looking forward to the next one. Thanks.
All right.
We'll talk to you
Cheers.
soon. Bye, everybody.